Hello, lovely people. Hope you're doing marvelously well. Those of you that are watching it today will know that it is Thanksgiving here in America. As you can tell, I'm actually not American. So growing up in England, I remember seeing movies like Trains, Planes and Automobiles, for those of you who are old enough to remember that. And I remember the whole movie being based around them rushing back for Thanksgiving. And here I am in lovely Los Angeles about to celebrate Thanksgiving. So what is this about? Well, this is really a simple, short video to say thank you. Number one, to you. Thank you to everybody in this incredible community. I really appreciate all of the time and the energy that you put into leaving constructive comments, to mixing the songs that we give away for free. For those of you that in the academy that every month mix songs and help each other out. This has just been an amazing experience. In the last 2 or 3 years of doing the YouTube channel and also the Facebook and Instagram and all the other fun things we do, the interaction has been absolutely insane. And it's growing and growing and growing. So thank you ever so much. Primarily, it's all about you. Thank you ever so much. But I couldn't go without thanking other great people. As you know, Tim Pierce has been very, very instrumental in helping me out. He was one of the first people that even told me about YouTube, who told me how, he was doing stuff. And when I watched his channel, I was very inspired. Of course, there's the great Marty Schwartz, who's another great guitar teacher, who I'm sure many of you have seen. Thank you ever so much for Marty and all I've learned from him. I cannot go without saying Scott's Bass Lessons. Scott's Bass Lessons is one of the best channels out there. If you're a bass player and you just want to know, if you want to get in contact with some of the greatest bass players around, watch his channel. I mean, he's not just interviewing Victor Wooten, he's like showing clips of them playing. It's absolutely awesome. And many of you actually are Scott's Bass Lessons fanatics that also watch me as well. We get lots of bass player comments. So to speak of bass players, my friend Glenn Fricker, Spectrum Media Group. I'm a big fan of his. Why am I a big fan of his? Because he does those, what does he call them? The no frills, the no BS. Anyway, whatever the phrases he uses, basically he will review products and he comes from the same place that I do. And that is a place of value for money. I have lots of expensive gear, but I also have, as you know, Yamaha acoustic guitars, Yamaha electric guitars that I bought on eBay for $200. I make records with very inexpensive stuff. I don't always have to use a, vintage 1950 whatever. To me, a great guitar, a great piece of equipment can be expensive or it can be cheap. But I love when manufacturers in particular, whether they're plug-in manufacturers or hardware manufacturers, I love it when they go out of their way to make something affordable and helpful. There's a lot of great companies out there, and so I applaud them. Also, let's talk about some of the other great channels that do recording. Graham Cochran has Recording Revolution. I know many of you follow him, and we have to take our hat off to Graham because I think he was pretty much the first guy to really focus in on exactly what I just talked about. What is that? That is about helping the up-and-comer. And that doesn't mean you have to be 13, 30, or 90. Up and coming could be any point in your life. I talk to people every day that are 16 years old or 60 years old. Some are returning, some are starting music for the first time. There is no age requirement for making music. There is no age requirement for recording music. So no matter what age you are, welcome. And so what I love that Graham does is he talks to those people. He enables people, he empowers people to make music by talking about how you can make music with only $300 worth of equipment. That is really important because I started on 2 cassette players like many of you, then to 4 tracks and ADATs and eventually DAWs and of course tape and all the other great stuff. The point is I've experienced it all. So when I see guys like Graham, I applaud it. I just wanted to say thank you to all those. Those are the people I'm grateful for. And there's many, many others. This is what's wonderful about what we do. I've been on other people's channels, as you know, Gear Gods. Great guys talking about equipment, talking about guitar stuff, recording stuff. The point is there's a lot of great channels out there. Oh, last but no means least, Rick Beato. If you're a musician who loves everything about playing your instrument, if you're somebody that wants to push the envelope and really bring your musicality, your musicianship to the next level, I highly recommend Rick Beato's channel. All of these channels are going to be listed below. And if I forgot somebody who I talk about, I highly apologize. But these are very, very diverse channels. They're very diverse. We're talking about Graham and Rick and Glenn and Gear Gods. And then, of course, the great Tim Pierce and Marty Schwartz. Now, obviously, I'm a guitar player, so I'm talking a couple of guitar players there. But you'll notice the theme is one thing. It's about helping people. It's not about making it about themselves. There's no egos in there. Whether you agree or disagree with all these different people, I personally find something rewarding from watching all of their videos, and I love how much people are being of service. So that's what we try to do here at Produce Like a Pro. We try to be of service to other people. And you can debate me on whether you like individual channels. That's perfectly okay. But we are blessed to be able to do this. So, last but no means least, as a big thank you to everybody, we're going to offer one of our songs that we do in the Academy to give away the multi-tracks for free. So, if you look down here, there will be a link. And all you have to do is click on the link and send us your email, and we will send you a link to those files. The song is called Hey Lady, and it's by the incredibly talented Miss Steve Magora. There's a link down here where you can listen to the track. I like this track because it's kind of a 70s influenced pop R&B, but not modern R&B. It's basically, maybe white boy soul is probably a more accurate description. But what we do in the Academy is we don't just mix songs. It is called, after all, Produce Like a Pro. What we do is we encourage people to mix, but we also encourage them to do production to the tracks, because there's more to it than just mixing. And as you know, there's 9,000 there's 9 million YouTube channels, all teaching the basic understanding of the techniques of mixing. And that's something that you can get pretty quickly from just watching a bunch of videos. We all know how to EQ a kick drum, boost 60 hertz, tuck out somewhere between 250, 350, and 400, boost some 2.5 or some 1K or some 7, depending on the genres. You know, you'll learn this within about 20 minutes of being on YouTube. You could set up your own YouTube channel and teach that stuff. It's fairly easy. The reality is, though, there's so much more to music than just learning some techniques. That will get you maybe over the first hurdle, and I highly encourage you to seek out great information. But there's more to it than that, and the reason why we have Produce Like a Pro is because it's not just about mixing. Mixing's important, but obviously the records that we all grew up listening to and loving were recorded in a way that the mix sort of reflects the production. I used to, as a producer and an engineer, send my mixes to a third-party mixer at the insistence of the major label quite often, and it would come back pretty much done similar to the way I sent it to them. And I'd always get kind of bummed out because somebody'd be writing this massive check to a famous mixer, and I'd be like, why don't you just use my roughs? And then I started to appreciate it's because I was recording, engineering and producing the tracks the way I wanted to hear them. And it was the biggest compliment. The biggest compliment I could get from Chris Soldaudy or Serban Gurnier, Spike Stent or Mark Endert. The biggest compliment they could pay me was to have my tracks coming back sounding very similar to what I gave them. Because I gave them something that I had specifically produced and engineered to sound a certain way. So the production side of it is incredibly important. It's not all just about the mix, hence Produce Like a Pro. So anyway, download the tracks, feel free to mix them. Please, if you want people to interact, post them on the Produce Like a Pro Facebook page, which will also be down there. So please post them on the page, and let's see if we can get people interacting and listening. But that's our present to you, some free multi-tracks for you to mess around with. Have a marvelous time recording and mixing. I really appreciate just how active everybody is, how helpful everybody is. And have a marvelous Thanksgiving if you're watching it today on Thanksgiving. If not, just having a marvelous time recording and mixing. And I'll speak to you all again very soon.